Yay! Welcome to our presentation on using MunkiReport to extend Jamf reporting. In this presentation, you will learn how to set up MunkiReport to extend your Jamf instance. First off, let us introduce ourselves. First up is a talking tuxedo. John?
Hi, I'm John. I'm a lead desktop engineer and Mac admin at a K-12 school district. When I'm not frantically running around putting out fires that the teachers and the students have created, I am building MunkiReport modules, and that's probably how you most know me by. And my co-presenter is Alex.
Hello there. My name is Alex. I'm an IT engineer based out of Florida. I am a heavy MunkiReport user and Jamf user, an animal lover, and highly active on the Mac admin Slack. If you haven't heard of it yet, I definitely suggest that you go look it up. It's a wonderful place where we talk about things like MunkiReport and Jamf. And last but not least, we have our resident lemur, Louise.
Hi there, I'm Mac Lemur, or as humans know me, Louise. I'm an IT manager at a large media company's digital division. I also happen to oversee all things Apple for our larger support group. You can find me in Slack as Mac Lemur, talking about food and lemurs and food. But why are we here? So why are we here? The ultimate answer to that is 42. But for the here and now in this presentation, we want to have a discussion on Jamf and MunkiReport. We all know and love Jamf, but sometimes Jamf needs a little help. So today we'll provide an overview on how you can use MunkiReport to extend Jamf's reporting. Why not just use Jamf? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. Has this ever happened to you? Boss mode enabled. Alex, John, I need a report on how many hard drives are failing. Now, what would you do? I mean, I would scamper over to John and Alex, and now I'll leave it up to them. John, Alex?
All right, so Alex, we need to get a report of failing hard drives. I'll spin up a MunkiReport instance and give you the stuff, and you can push out to our clients, and then we'll just pull data out from MunkiReport and give it to her. So to set up a MunkiReport instance, we need MunkiReport from GitHub. It is a free open source thing, easily accessible right there in GitHub. And you need a web server with PHP 7.2 or higher. This can be pretty much any web server. It can be IIS on Windows. It can be Nginx on a Raspberry Pi. It can be Apache on a big IBM mainframe. It can be anything like that. For the database backend, MySQL Mariah database is recommended. However, it does come with a built-in SQLite. And for hardware and OS requirements, as long as they can run PHP, you're pretty much all set. We have it running on all sorts of things, from a Docker to Raspberry Pi to Windows to all sorts of different flavors of Mac and Linux. So here's our quick and dirty setup. So I'm going to assume you've already downloaded the package from GitHub, and you've extracted it and you've put it onto your desktop. So we're going to change directory into the MunkiReport folder. We're going to echo out a authentication method. So auth methods is no auth, and we're going to echo that out into our .env file or our environmental file. This is pretty bad to do in production, but because this is just a quick and dirty demo of how it is to set it up, that's all right. And this will basically allow anybody to get right into our MunkiReport instance without any kind of authentication. And that's why it's pretty bad. And we're going to echo out a few modules. So applications, 5-volt status, smart stats, user sessions, users, all that will be echoed out also into the env file. And we're going to tell it to please migrate. And the please migrate command basically goes through and sets up the tables within the database for all of the modules that are used. It's generally recommended to do this first time through the command line, but then after this and later migrations, you can do this all through the web interface. And then lastly, because it's a quick and dirty demo, we're just going to tell PHP to spin up a local web server. on port 8080 from the public directory, which is the main directory that MunkiReport uses.
Kindly note, this was a quick and dirty setup. Please do not do this in prod. Please see the link below on how to properly secure your system. We now return you to your presentation.
Thanks for that warning, Ms. Lemer. All right, so lastly, we're going to create a MunkiReport installation package. And for this, we curl down the install script and shove it right into sudo bash. This isn't really good to do all the time, but we know where this is coming from because this is hosted on our server. And we can see the source code right there in GitHub if we need to. We're going to tell it to output the package right to our desktop so we can hand it over to Alex so that he can install it. Alex, here's your magical package.
Why, thank you, John. So when it comes to what we're doing for the web server quick and dirty demo, we wanted to show a little bit more of a fleshed out idea for the Jamf integration setup. So kind of keep in mind, I'm trying to present this as something that you would actually put in production. So for this part, you could deploy this and it would be reasonably safe, but just kind of keep in mind that you might want to look at the MunkiReport wiki and make sure that you kind of know what you're doing before you do it. Setting up MunkiReport and deploying it through Jamf is super, super easy. We're going to first start off with the package that John gave us. And we're going to ask ourselves, what do we need besides this package as well? So I do want to restate that. We do have this instance that John put up for us. We have that package that I mentioned. We're going to deploy that with a simple policy. And then we're going to add a couple of things here. Pass-phase script with policy. I'm going to go into why you'd want to use that. The client's run policy, which is going to actually tell our clients to report back to MunkiReport. And then we're going to have some dependencies because certain modules have additional dependencies. So you definitely want to check when you are looking into what modules you want to use that you've covered all those dependencies. Otherwise, it'll be like, why doesn't this work? So again, that package keeps coming up. We're going to start with that. So first, you have that package upload. I'm going to assume that you know how to do this, so I'm not even going to cover this. Super easy to do. Next up, we have our passphrase. As I mentioned this earlier, what this really does is it makes it so that the client, reports into MunkiReport, and MunkiReport is like, "Who are you?" And like, "I am client. Here's my passphrase." All right. Client, you are allowed to report to me. And this is just a simple write to the plist file in MunkiReport. So we're just going to do this with a simple script and a policy that will deploy that script and run it on the clients. Next up, we have our dependency package. So for what we're doing here, Lemur is like, hey, I want to know about failing hard drives. So we're going to need smart tools for that. And that dependency is what we're going to deploy here. So we just upload the SmartMon tools, and we're going to deploy that with a policy as well. So super easy to do that. And then next up, we have the client's run policy, which is actually going to tell our machines to check in. So this is kind of where you can kind of choose your own adventure. Here we just did a simple policy that's leveraging the execute command under file and processes, and that's just going to tell the runner to start the process of checking into MunkiReport. You could also do your own launch statement, and keep in mind when it comes to this method that we used right here. That is based on the Jamf check-in. So if you have a frequent check-in set, you might want to have this policy only run once a day because you might run into some throttling limits if you're hosting this in the web, like as I did in Azure, ran into some rate limiting. So do keep that in mind when you are setting this part up. And I believe that's it to setting up MunkiReport with Jamf. You see right there, it's not hard to do. Jamf and MunkiReport are friends. They get along. But now we kind of need to get to the meat and potatoes of that, which is the dashboards.
Cool. Thank you for that, Alex. So the dashboards, i.e. making it pretty for the manager. Most managers, they like fun little gizmos and widgets and buttons and graphs, and MunkiReport has a whole bunch of those built-in, pre-made, pre-designed, ready to go right out of the box. No need to go through and click a whole bunch, make a whole bunch, download templates. Nope, they're already right there ready to go. You might just need to add a line to the config, and there you go. So let's go ahead here and look at how a dashboard looks like. So this right here is a typical dashboard. Dashboards are YAML files, and this right here is the default one. The display name key is My Awesome Dashboard. You don't need to name it, but it's certainly great to name it. And you can name it things such as My Awesome Dashboard, or Dashboard for Failing Hard Drives, or Manager Dashboard Special Number 1, Manager Dashboard Special Number 1 with the onions, whatever you want to call it. You can certainly do that. Then hotkey, which is another optional key, that will enable you to hit the letter Q pretty much anywhere within MunkiReport when you have the dashboard button focused, and it will load you to the dashboard you have selected. Then down there we have our rows. We have 3 rows, and then within each of those rows we have our widgets. Now our widgets are the fun little things that show you the data. So for row 1 we have client messages, row 2 we have new clients, pending Apple, pending Munki, etc. all the way down. You can have as many widgets in a row as you want. You can have as many rows as you want. The only limitation is really the size of your screen or how good your web browser is to power all these widgets at once. They're pretty light, but once you have all 300-ish of them running, it can get kind of funky if you have a lot of clients checking in. So this right here is our standard dashboard. So that dashboard file you saw previously is pretty much what you would see here. So up the top you have our buttons, you have our scrolling widget, you have our client activity, and you have some little other buttons down below there. So let's go to the demo lab and take a look at these and see how they interact and everything. All right, so here is our demo lab. This is our active, fun, ready to go dashboard. As you can see down here, we have our 3 button widgets. We have watermelon, pineapple, and lime flavored. They're very lickable, very tasty. I do recommend. We have our scrolling widget showing what's been happening. We have our client activity showing who's been active. And of course, these clients have all been pretty inactive, but that's all right. It's just a demo session. So she wanted a report on smart stats or failing hard drives. So that is our smart stats report. Go ahead and click that. All right, and we can see we do have 1 failing hard drive. Let's click on that. Yep, so Yoda is definitely failing. It has 41,000 smart errors. And it's been on for about 40,000 hours. That's a pretty long time, especially from an old Seagate Momentous drive. Yikes. And if we can scroll over, we can see more information about the drive, like this, all sorts of fun information. So we can clear out that filter. We can see all of our drives now. But let's email this to her. So we're click Excel, or open that in Excel. And then once Excel opens, all right, I'll make this bigger for those of you at home. So we can now see Yoda's 4 drives, Lando, Anakin, and all their drives. We can see what drive number it is, if it's passed or failed, and more information about it. So we're going to filter this to failed. We're going to save it. Then we can send it off to her, and she can open up in Excel, and she can get the raw data right there. Or she can open up in MunkiReport and look at the fun little buttons and everything. So she's pretty happy with that. I'll go ahead and close that. Now, I want to zoom in and see more information about Yoda's drives. So I'm going to click on Yoda right here. We can see there's our Seagate Momentous drive up at the top. It's a kind of a slow drive, but that's all right. And it was last pulled about 2018. So that drive is probably dead. If it's in this machine, it's probably like a completely dead hard drive, and it's either just not running, maybe it was removed from the machine. I don't know, but we should probably pull back Yoda to find out. And we can see it's 111.2 degrees Fahrenheit or 44 degrees Celsius. And we can see Yoda's other drives, and they're all pretty healthy and happy. So this view that we're in right now is called the Client Summary view. So up here we can click Show, and we can see all the client tabs. We'll click on Summary, and we can see a big summary of Yoda. So Yoda is, of course, what is this? What is Yoda? Yoda is a 13-inch 2017 2 Thunderbolt 3-port MacBook Pro. It's a pretty long model name. And we can see its IP address, how much memory is in it. We can see information such as its software versions, its boot ROM version, if it's encrypted, what its smart status is, Bluetooth information. We can see what MDM it's connected to. In this case, it's a Jump Cloud. Oh no, excuse me, that's a Jamf Cloud. I'm reading the wrong thing. We can see the warranty information and all sorts of cool stuff. So let's go and look at some other really cool client tabs. I like the battery one. I wrote this one a few years ago. It's pretty cool. We can see the battery was made in 2018. It's pretty healthy. It doesn't have the main cycles on it. 50% charged. We can see that the cells are all happy, nice, equal voltage, and it's charging with a power adapter of about 94 watts. That's also pretty cool. Let's go look at. Alex, what's a fun one to look at down in here?
I think that we should look at the Jamf ones.
Yeah, the Jamf tab.
Oh, the Jamf one.
All right, cool. So there's our Jamf tab.
Yeah, so and me again, hello. Being that I started the Jamf integration, it only is befitting that I talk about the Jamf module. What's really cool here is all the information that's in Jamf gets pulled into here, and so you have a single pane of glass. So it's really useful for troubleshooting with text. So they can say, hey, I want to know what groups these machines are a part of, so that I can see if maybe it's a policy issue in that regard. So if I just go into the management tab here, you'll actually be able to see more information. So I can see the commands that have been pulled. I can see what computer groups that the machine is a part of, and I can also look at configuration profiles, all that good stuff that you get in Jamf right here. And if I am worried that the data is not up to date, I can always do a fresh pull of the Jamf data right here, or I can also do in the admin tab and do a pull of all the machines at once. You might want to wait a little bit when you do that, just to make sure that all that data pulls. And you can also view it in Jamf directly if you want to execute any commands. So it's just a really cool way of having all that information in one place. Again, the techs that I work with, they all love it. And if you go into the inventory section of here, you can also see the extension attributes as well. So it's kind of nice to have that one place. But it could be that, let's say you have extension attributes that you don't really need it for Jamf, but you might want it in MunkiReport. There's actually a really cool module that helps you do that, which is the extension attributes module. So, John, if you can pop that open. Here we have the extension attributes module, which leverages the same components of extension attributes that gets deployed through Jamf, but you can actually throw those files onto the clients themselves and then run your own special extension attributes. So let's say there's some information that you wanted to script out and then put it in here so that you can send a nice, pretty report to Louise. You could do that right here and kind of have fun with it. I know that there's a bunch of people that leverage custom extension attributes here because of, let's say there's a module missing or hasn't been built yet. Tux is like, I have a whole list of modules to make. You can actually create your own module in that way of using extension attributes. So fun stuff here. It's always good to experiment. And again, you can always go to the Mac admin Slack and reach out to people on the MunkiReport channel. They are super, super nice and super, super knowledgeable and will gladly help you out. But that's all I have to say about the Jamf modules.
So, Alex, John, I just came out of a meeting with Jimmy, and he's saying that all of his Macs are crashing. The optics on this are really bad. I'm going to need a report on the leading causes of KPs and crashes. How would I get that?
Well, luckily for us, Alex, MunkiReport has that module pre-installed with it. Well, not pre-installed, but we did pre-install it before we pushed it out to your clients. And so our clients are already checking in with all the information. So we're going to go to listings. And let's see, listings. Where is it? Kernel panics. There you are. There's too many listings. All right, so we do have 2 kernel panics checking in, Yoda and Lando. Yoda is definitely having some trouble. We should definitely pull the machine back, and now it's kernel panicking on us. But we can see the kernel panic name, process that caused it, when it happened, macOS version, the model of the machine, what type, and we can click on the view button and we can see the entire kernel panic log right there. And we can see, of course, all the information, like all the KTEX that also are involved with it. So she wants that report, so we'll go ahead and click Excel. We can open that again one more time. There's our Excel report ready to go, and we can just email that off to her and she'd be good. Now, not only does it collect kernel panics, but it also collects GPU restarts, resets, and it collects T2 crashes. So that's really good, really nice to know if your trash can MacBook Pro starts to get GPU resets and you see a whole bunch of those showing up in here, you might know it's getting near the end of its life and it should probably be checked. Or if you see a whole bunch of T2 crashes, maybe Apple messed up again, or maybe those machines are just needing being an update. So we can definitely check into those too. So those are our kernel panic reports.
So, my peeps, I was on a flight recently, don't judge, and I read this awesome article in Sky Mall. Are we protect?
Oh, let's see if we are protect or not. That is insecurity. And yes, we are indeed protect. So 7 out of 7 machines are protect. 0 are not. So that means 100% of our fleet is most definitely protect. So we are good. Very, very good.
Manager is happy. What else can this report on? Is there like a marketplace?
Funny you should ask. There is a marketplace, and I finished it up, I believe, back in April, actually, of this year. So we can go to the module marketplace. It's really cool. And here are the roughly 86 modules that are available for MunkiReport. We can see modules like the module name, if it's enabled, installed, what version is installed, if there's the latest version, an update available, who maintains it, and a whole bunch of other information. This is dynamically generated and pulled every time you refresh the page. It pulls it all straight from Packagist and GitHub. None of it is really cached on the server other than what modules are installed in their current version. It's really cool how it all runs. And we can see the different repos where they live. So we can click on one and it'll take us there. We can see monthly downloads. So app usage has 98 monthly downloads. So people are liking app usage, but they're not liking hardware P5 as much, maybe because they don't know about it or they just don't need it. But we can see here, update is available for backup to go from version 1.2 to 1.3. So we have all these really, really cool ones. And let's click on Find My Mac. So we can see here, Find My Mac, we have 3 included UIs. We have a client tab, a listing, and 1 widget. That's pretty cool. So then they tell you how many things are in them all and stuff like that. Local admin, this is a deprecated module, and I picked it as an example. But if we wanted to install it, there are 2 commands that we would use to install it. And it's pretty cool. And if we need more information, you just click the MunkiReport wiki and you're set. I myself am kind of curious to know like what IP addresses, like internal IP addresses, are our devices getting. I wonder if there's a networking module. So network, there are indeed 2 networking modules. One is just called network. That's probably what we need. The other one is network shares. So we can already see they're already both installed, but network needs an update, so we can update that at some point. But it's up and running, so we definitely know that. But like, what other kind of fun widgets do we have? So we have the Widget Gallery. This shows all the widgets available to you, and we currently have about 234 widgets. And it's really, really cool. So even if you don't have these modules enabled, but if you have them installed, it'll show you what widgets are available. So we have the Jamf automatic login disabled widget. Yes, no, if it's enabled or not. Scroll down some more, we can see which versions of Microsoft Office might have a mismatched license. So if you have Word 2016 installed, but you have a 2019 license, it'll throw an error. Happily, those are all zeros, so we're good. We can see MunkiReport protocol, they're all using HTTPS. We can see root user, we have them all disabled, so that's excellent to see. And that's pretty much all of our widgets. There's a lot of widgets. And they're really easy to make if you ever want to make more for yourself. So I do believe that concludes our presentation on MunkiReport.
Well, as someone wiser than me said, that's all, folks. Thanks for attending our presentation. Are there any questions?